Answer. More of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy comes your way now. And make sure to join me, Larry Elder, tonight at 7, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So what can we learn about making better decisions under pressure? That matters a lot, not just in C-suites, but also in politics, because pressure is always being applied from every direction to get you to do something you otherwise might not be inclined to do. Well, perhaps we need somebody with military discipline to help provide guidance on the topic. Unfortunately, we have such a person. He's Brandon Webb. He's a former Navy SEAL turned a Navy SEAL sniper, I should add, turned CEO. He's got a new book, Make Better Decisions Under Pressure, and he joins us now. Brandon, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. It's good to be on the show.
So give us a sense of your transition from your military service to leading private sector organizations and what you've learned that you memorialize in this book to help others to make those better decisions under pressure.
Sure. So, the inspiration behind my new book, Total Focus, is, I had gotten out of the SEAL teams, started a company, lost everything, my life savings shortly after divorce. So I really was at a low point in my life and career. But I drew on my experiences in the SEAL training and really what we taught our sniper students when I was a sniper instructor was, it's positive psychology to always look, for the positive in adverse situations. So I really dug deep in myself and looked at how I could apply this massive failure that I had experienced in business and take all the lessons learned, apply it to my next company. And, I'd grown that to an 8-figure business and had a lot of success. So I wanted to share those experiences and experiences of my friends and their stories in Total Focus.
What was the failure?
I had a training company. I'd raised about $4 million, put a lot of money, my own money in it, and was going to create a law enforcement and military training facility in Southern California. It was a great business. It still is, but it as you well know in the show, it was California was not a very friendly political environment, and when we got our project approved by the county, we had an environmental group come in and sue the county for approving our project, and it just kind of blew up the whole thing, and I had to walk away.
Wow! So you suddenly had to start your life over again. How long did it take for you to get back on your feet, or to the point where you felt like, you know what, I'm successful now?
I had to take a job, so I got a job and was practical about it, but I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I would say it took me probably 3 years. And it's funny, I have a lot of friends and family say, "Oh, you're so lucky. You have an airplane that you fly around, and you have this amazing life." And it's like, well, where were you guys when I lost everything?
Right.
You weren't calling me lucky then.
Right. The overnight success, years in the making, right? So
Exactly.
It's interesting because Megan McArdle over at Bloomberg has a great book about this too. Sort of your experience as you're describing it, the upside of down. Why failing well is the key to success. So that obviously occurred with you, and so you have that setback. And so how did you go from that setback to building this $100 million plus digital media business?
I think people really need to understand the difference between quitting and failure. And, I had this goal to build a business. I know what my number is, what I want to produce, and have invested for my retirement, so my family is secure. And so I had this goal, and I said, even though I had this failure, I'm still not giving up. I'm not going to quit. And so I got a job, and I came up with a plan, and I started executing the plan. And I was writing on the side, which got me into blogging. I was passionate about it, and then started a veteran news site called softrep.com, and grew that into this digital media business. And we took our online business and applied subscription business to it. People thought we were crazy. And now today we have e-commerce as well, and we're not, as you guys know well, we still take a lot of advertising, but we're not reliant on the advertising industry to stay afloat, be profitable, and that's a really good place to be.
So President Trump is surrounding himself with generals, accomplished people, John Kelly, H.R. McMaster. Do you think that there'll be a positive influence on his presidency?
I do, and I see the liberal media really always focusing on the negative, and Trump has done a lot of positive things. The morale in the military has never been higher. You don't see a lot of people in the press talking about that. A lot of the business climate, the markets have really been bullish. I mean, it's so much good things that are happening, but it's easy to focus on the negative. And I talk about it in Total Focus on how to not focus on the negative and always look for the positive, even in adverse situations and failure, because there's always positive bits to focus on.
What about the challenge of assessing risk? So you take calculated risks that have some chance of success. It seems to me that we have this in politics. Certainly, we do in Illinois with the Republican Party. Risk aversion, even when there's very little to risk except their own little perch. And of course, risk taking is necessary to be successful in business as well. So that dealing with that, how you assess risk and take good calculated risks.
And I think number one, what we're really missing in the political environment today is strategy. Like they focus on, a lot of politicians focus on getting reelected, but there's really no overarching strategy. And I use Afghanistan as a prime example. Like, nobody knows what we're doing in Afghanistan and what the benefit is of us being there. Right. They haven't known for probably 10 years now, and that's a big problem. So, developing a plan, and then, to your point on the risk assessment, okay, what do I need to accomplish this plan? What are the risks involved? But having that plan is super important, and I talk about in the book having a life plan. And then, if you're starting a business or you're changing careers, okay, well, list the risks, and then address contingencies to deal with those risks. And in the SEALs, where people think, oh, it's such a risky job, it's actually, we do such a good job at mitigating risk that make it very safe. Like skydiving, for instance, in the military, I would have probably 4 or 5 people check me out before I jump out of a plane. In the civilian world, to go to a drop zone and skydive, it's just some guy that says, okay, are you ready to go? And he gives you a thumbs up. It's a very different environment.
Recently, President...
So the military... And,
Oh, sorry, you can finish. Sorry about that. Recently, President Trump tweeted that he wants to ban transgenders from the military. Do you see that as a good idea? Have you had experience with any transgenders in the military?
I did. I actually served with Chris Beck, who is now Kristen Beck, but decided to became transgender openly after his time in the SEAL teams. I think what people get confused is Trump is saying, look, not right now. We're going to come up with a plan, but we can't just, it's such a radical change to the current military environment that we just can't do it right now overnight. But over time, I think the transgender community will be integrated into the military, and I don't have any problem with that. I've served with people of all different race, religion, and the beautiful thing about the military is it's really a meritocracy environment, and you realize really quick that you don't care about this other person's.
Is it Is it still a meritocracy? Because a lot of the reports about, for example, the Navy SEAL qualifying suggest that maybe it's not a meritocracy. Maybe there's a little social engineering going on to make political statements about, for example, women making it to Navy SEAL officer, even if they're not actually pulling the same weight that the men are.
So there, to be honest, there are always those political pressures where they're trying to jam something on the military community overnight, and I think that's exactly to your point about the original question and Trump saying, no at this moment to transgenders. It's not something you can just easily do overnight, and the military is really good at keeping a level playing field and resisting those political pressures that sometimes are jammed on. But at the end of the day, one of my things that I love most about the military was that you don't care about what the other person religion or race is. It's about getting the job done.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean,
all that matters.
If they integrate transgenders, then Vogue will be there for the photo spreads for all of them. Brandon Webb, former Navy SEAL sniper turned CEO, successful businessman. His book, successful author as well, Make Better Decisions Under Pressure. The book is Total Focus. Brandon Webb, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about